Good morning. It is Hump Day Happy Chat time. Here we are. Did you think I was going to? Good morning. It is Hump Day Happy Chat time. Yes, indeed. Here I am back with a whole different look, a whole different background. And it's a very special hump day. Why? Because it's the first, wow, it looks like the sky's going to fall outside because it's the first hump day in 2020. Happy New Year, although we've been celebrating for a whole week now. We're into day 8 of 2020. So the first hump day happy chat of the year. Hallelujah for that. And the first hump day happy chat of a whole decade, like an entire decade is underway now. It's really an auspicious time to be back with you. And I'm so grateful. I'm on a white background, which represents blank slate. Blank slate, which isn't always the case, right? Good morning. Thank you for coming. It isn't always the case. Hi. So glad that you're joining. People are starting to join. Yabba dabba do. Happy New Year. Many blessings to you. Thank you for coming. So this is the first hump day happy chat of a new decade. And what's really exciting about a blank slate is we don't often create with a blank slate. I know I don't often create with a blank slate. I'm always trying to plus up or incrementally improve or go into an exponential space with what I've already decided is going to be the way or the thing or that which I am here for, my dharma, my purpose. And it's beautiful. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's really awesome. And yes, and here's my yes sign is back here. Yes, and we often are asked maybe to look at things with a more blank slate. And why is that? Why is that? So today's topic I want to talk about, and it's really coming up for me, and so I wanted to share it in authenticity. So today's topic is making way for your good to flow. Making way for your good to flow. So there are a couple things about that. First of all, it's not questioning. It's not about working. It's not about, is there good for me? It's about, yes, there is. Absolutely. Yes, my good is here. It's waiting for me to make way for it. It's funny how I've been talking with my spiritual counselor in the month of December about the things that I'm kind of, pouty about, things that have gone away, things that have dissolved away, the things that appear clearly to me, right? My brain, clearly it's not happening. Like, it's not happening. And my little inner self is railing against the fact that it's not happening. And encouraging myself to get back into acceptance and allowance and receiving. Like, what am I receiving in a moment of it's not happening? What am I receiving in a moment of that's not working? What am I receiving in a moment of they don't hear me? I am not understood. I am not being heard. What am I receiving in those moments? So I've been looking at that. It's been a beautiful time of deepening self-awareness and discovery and evolution, which I love. That's what I stand for. Transformation in a juicy, delicious, loving, encouraging Yahweh. Blank slating it, wanting to get to a place of not needing to have the answers and allowing them to flow to me. And flow is such a beautiful thing, such a beautiful thing. And so here at the Hartley Center for Mindfulness and Self-Mastery, where we want to focus on mastering ourselves, like this instrument, this masterful instrument, magnificently created, always, always at once, filled with everything, all the wisdom we need, all the answers we need. It's all right here, right? Mastering yourself in your life so that you can exquisitely manage whatever your life brings your way. So that's what the Happy Chat is about. It's about keeping happiness flowing by chatting about the things that might disconnect us from it and send us in a different direction, and staying in that avenue, staying in that lane called happiness, living happy to be me. And so what I want to talk about in terms of creating a blank slate and making way for good to happen is this thing called the vacuum law of prosperity. Vacuum law of prosperity. And I've been reading about it lately. I've taught it before, but I've been reading about it especially lately anew, blank slating it. What do I know? Let's go to what I don't know. Let's go to space and allow more wisdom to come in. In a book by a woman named Catherine Ponder called The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity. And I want to do a quick shout out to an amazing soul on the planet, Dame Doria Cordova, who reminded me of this book. She did a complimentary session with a bunch of leaders with whom I play. And she did a beautiful session on the dynamic laws of prosperity. And of course, she's got her own content, but she remembered, she encouraged the people on this, in this session to look up this book and become more familiar with it. And believe it or not, I have the book in my library, read it a long time ago, and had lost some touch with it. Although the wisdom is in the stuff that I teach, it wasn't fully present to me, and I'm not fully living all of the tips and tools. So it was a beautiful refresher to take on my holiday hiatus. And so this vacuum law of prosperity. So I've talked about it before in my book, Step 2, Releasing. Get rid of what's no longer serving you. Create a vacuum. Get rid of what's no longer serving you in order to call in what would serve you, what it is that you want, right? Get what I don't want, bye-bye. What I do want, come on in. Come on down. You're the next contestant. Yes. Like, call in the magnificence. And sometimes we look at ourselves and go, what do you mean call it in? What do you think I've been doing for the last 50 years or 20 years? I've been calling in my good. I've been waiting for it. I've been praying for it. I've been working hard for it. There's a little cog in the wheel. Struggle, working hard, sacrificing, beating ourselves up, trying to get ahead, competing, knocking them out of the way so I can plow forward. Some of those things are not serving us. Some of those things are not serving us. And so the longer they stay in the system of us, they stay in the way of good flowing. So let's look at this really quickly, and then we'll do one of my favorite practices for opening things back up and creating a vacuum. So if you want great good, this is from Catherine Ponder, this is from Dame Doria Cordova, this is from lots of other teachers, including me. If you want great good, greater prosperity, greater love, greater connection, more fun, more joy, you have to form a vacuum in your life. Why? Because there's a physical law and an energetic and spiritual law about vacuums. So when we create a vacuum in our life, then we make space, we make way for what we want to show up in greater form. So getting rid of what no longer serves you, what you don't want, to make room for what does serve you, what you do want, is the way you activate the vacuum law of prosperity. And by prosperity, we're not just talking about flow of money. So you may say, I've got plenty of money. That's great. It's not necessarily about money. Sometimes it's about just inner peace. How do I create a vacuum to give myself more inner peace? How do I create a vacuum that allows relationships to evolve and change, and maybe even better ones that serve me better, to come in, to show up? How do I create a vacuum that allows whole dynamics in my life to reconfigure, to change, to elevate? The flow, making way for good to flow, is the name of today's topic. And when we're wanting that to happen, when we're saying, where's that good that I've been wanting? When we're wanting it and we're doing good and we're thinking good thoughts, and we've really become disciplined at how we live the steps of happy to be me. Like, we're really getting rid of stuff. We're writing the new story. We're living it. When we're doing all of that stuff and we're not necessarily seeing the changes we want, we're not necessarily receiving the increased good that we want, it's usually because there's something clogging the path to you. Remember, everything is a cycle, an ebb and a flow, a giving and a receiving. And so if we're not receiving, it might be that there's something clogging the path. Not that the flow is not coming, that the flow is coming and somehow bouncing off. Yikes. Not what we want. We want to be aware of that. I'm doing all my steps. I'm being disciplined, but what I want is not showing up. Let me look at the vacuum law of prosperity. Are my airwaves clogged? So what do we mean by clogged? The one that we're going to work on today. So one thing that you hear about, I think one of the number one books on Amazon forever has been, I don't remember the title or the author, so forgive me, beautiful author of this beautiful book. It's about decluttering your life. And I think she even has a show on one of the cable channels about this whole decluttering. So what can you give away? And the way I think of it is, what am I not giving love to? And therefore it cannot give love back to me, that would be better off or better served going into the universal flow and out of my flow in order to give love somewhere else. So what can you give away? How can you declutter your life? What's in your garage or your storage unit that you haven't loved on lately? Therefore, it's not serving you. Therefore, it's probably clogging up your flow and would be better serving you and the universe to be in a recycle mode. There are organizations all over the country called Free Cycle, by the way. So if you're kind of like me and I think of putting things online and trying to sell them as like, oh my gosh, like shoot me now. That's just not something that I love to do. I look at Free Cycle, and I've had people, when Maggie, my dog, crossed over, I put a big box together with her crate and her bowls and a lot of her toys and stuff. And a family came to my house, and they had just adopted 2 dogs, and they didn't really have the financial means to supply the things that they thought they needed. And so by free cycling it, I recycled it, and it went exactly where it was needed most in the moment, and love flowed everywhere. And that was a gift from my little girl, Maggie. So anyway, this idea of decluttering and releasing what's no longer serving you, and what this definition of no longer serving you doesn't mean it's debilitating you, doesn't mean it's getting in your way, doesn't in your way in a negative way. It doesn't mean it's a quote unquote bad part of you need to dissolve and release and heal. It's not all of that. It could just be, man, this is my favorite ring, and I don't wear it anymore. It doesn't go with my personality anymore. I'm going to give it away, or I'm going to sell it and take the money and use it for myself or use it for someone else. So remember this idea of activating the vacuum law of prosperity. I would think about how I might do it daily. Like I have been in a space, so blank slate, I have been in a space of understanding the law, teaching the law, doing the law, but I notice that I do it at specific times. Oh, I'm going to clean my closet. It's been 4 months. What if I did it daily? So that's one of my new things. Like, what am I releasing on a daily basis to activate the vacuum law of prosperity, to create flow coming to me? Ebb and flow, giving and receiving, cycling through life. And so here is the one we're going to practice today. And it's a big one, right? Forgiveness. Forgiveness, very misunderstood practice. By letting go of a lesser good, maybe it's your anger about something, and maybe you needed your anger. Anger can be a very empowering emotion. And at the same time that it may empower us to protect ourselves, to protect others, to jump in and change things that are unjust or not working, like our anger can rise up. The warring self, keeping in the warring self, doesn't really serve us in the long term. And so getting back to the infinite self. Resentment, part of the warring self, getting back to the infinite self. Hate, self-recrimination. I didn't do it right. One of the I didn't do it right that I've been thinking about is I'm in my robe, y'all. Did you notice? I'm in my robe. Why am I in my robe? Because I don't know. I'm having some discombobulations around time lately. There are days when I totally missed the happy chat. While I was on my holiday hiatus, I went deeper into holiday hiatus than I thought I was going to. And even though I had intentions for the happy chat, I just forgot to get online and do it. So please forgive me for my absence if you were waiting for me to show up and I didn't. I apologize and I thank you for your forgiveness. And here's the most important part. I had to forgive myself. I had tapes running about irresponsibility and about lack of commitment and about lack of discipline and about not being enough, not doing it right. And all of those tapes were taking me in a downward spiral of self-recrimination. And so I even did forgiveness work on myself for that conditioning, the conditioning within me that rises up to tell me I'm not enough. And that, excuse me, by not being enough, I'll never get it done, and I'll never get it done right. So part of this morning is because of my desire to forgive myself, to make way for my good. So I'm inviting you in. And I'm wearing my robe because I got completely discombobulated with my time this morning and thought I was starting earlier, and I didn't have time to put on clothes and blah, blah, blah. So I said, well, I'm going to get on my robe and get going. And so I got up here and then I had more time and I just decided to keep my robe on. And it's comfy and cozy, so I'm really glad I did. Receiving from myself. So one of the forgiveness practices that I talk about in my book that I love, I do and I teach, are the Ho'oponopono practice. I encourage you to look that up. Look up, there's another video in my Hump Day Happy Chat series. It's in my book. Ho'oponopono is an ancient practice of forgiveness. It was made famous by a doctor named Hugh Len, and you can read all about that. I don't want to go into it very much. I want to get to the practice now. So I'm going to, if you want to just sit and make yourself comfortable, take a couple of deep breaths. I'm going to walk us through, and I'll be doing it with you. This is a practice that I use all the time. So I'll be doing it with you, and I'll be guiding you through some ways to call in what you need to forgive and what will create a vacuum for the universe to fill with a greater good for you. So just close your eyes and center on my voice, and here we go. Ho'oponopono. So trusting that all of my answers are within me, I right now am calling forth any time, situation, place, or manner that I have harmed someone with my words, with my energy, with my look, with my voice, with my actions or inactions, any way that I may have harmed someone. I encourage you to do the same. How have I harmed someone? And just allow that to permeate you for a moment. Let it come up. If there's sadness, if there's despair, allow that. Receive it. And with me, in your heart and mind, repeat these words to that situation or that person or to yourself. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Take a deep breath. Exhale all the way. Feel your shoulders dropping, your jaw releasing, your back loosening, your belly softening. And another deep breath as you release that one, and let's do some more. For any way that I've harmed my community, my greater community of people, of projects, of relationships, any way that I have not been enough according to them or according to me. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And as you repeat the words, allow them to ripple through your body, your mind, your spirit, and emanate from you into the universe, creating a ripple effect of love and light. Take a deep breath and continue to feel your whole body softening, releasing, flowing into a new space, potentially a blank slate for good to flow. Continuing now, for any way that I have harmed nature, all natural beings, all plants and animal kingdom, mineral kingdom, any way that my actions have made things go awry, my inaction has contributed to things happening that aren't serving me or the planet. Any way that I've created harm, I offer, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Take a deep breath and let that flow through your system. fill you up and emanate into the world around you as you in a state of forgiveness. Ho'oponopono. Now, one of the most important ones in this practice is to yourself. So, for whatever way that I have harmed myself, deliberately, unintentionally, with my thoughts, with my attachment to my conditioned patterns of behavior, to what is not serving me that I continue to do, to the habits and practices of my warring self, where I get into fights, where I need to be right and I need to prove and I need to show them, and I'm hurting myself for all the ways that I don't see my brilliance, that I don't accept that I'm enough, that I disconnect from the divinity that I am, for all the ways that I've abandoned my brilliance by forgetting or just not energizing myself to take action on my own behalf, for the ways that I abandon my vision and my mission and my purpose in ways that don't serve me. In that, the named and whatever unnamed ways I've harmed myself, I offer, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And take a deep breath. Take a couple. And we'll sit in silence for just a minute and just allow the ripple effect of Ho'oponopono to move through our own physical bodies and our own mental bodies and our own spiritual houses and our own false self and our own pain bodies, puncturing pockets of release that create a vacuum for more to come in, for a lesser good to be released and a greater good to come in. Just allow yourself to give a yes to that. Allow yourself to be in the energy of yes for what is flowing away in order to make way for your good to flow in. That's Ho'oponopono. It is one of the easiest practices. Remember, forgiveness doesn't require the other party to do anything differently. It's not about them. Forgiveness is about you making space in your heart for you claiming higher ground in your heart for you. It's not about them. And you needn't wait for them to do anything to forgive yourself and forgive them. For more information on this, one of my favorite resources is Project Forgive. You can go to Project Forgive on Facebook. You'll be joined by a couple million other people who are practicing the art and spirit of forgiveness. You can go to projectforgive.com. I shout out lovingly to my dear friend, Dr. Sean Duperrin, who is the founder of Project Forgive and is doing unbelievably beautiful work in the world in prison systems for quote unquote delinquent girls, for in so many spaces. And forgiveness is the way you create this blank slate, which gives you the opportunity to flow more of your creativity, to flow more of your wisdom, to flow more of your magnificence into the world. And the world needs every bit of your magnificence, every bit. So thank you very much for joining today's first Hump Day Happy Chat in a whole new decade. May this practice that we did together today, and that you continue to energize yourself in, that you continue to open up space in your heart and in your world and your situations in order for good to flow. May this create a fertile ground on which this new year, 2020, and this new decade brings you everything that your heart desires. Here, offering the metta prayer from the Buddha, the prayer of loving kindness. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings awaken to the light of their true nature, and may all beings be free. Ho'oponopono yourself into exquisite emotional freedom. Many blessings. Thank you again for joining. I'm Valerie Shepard. This is the Hartley Center for Mindfulness and Self-Mastery. This has been Hump Day Happy Chat 2020. Many blessings. Stay well. Be happy. Bye now. See you next time. Clicking all the off buttons as usual. Bye, bye, bye. See you next time.